Welcome into our overtime segment here, brought to you by Lisa Atkins' team with H&R Block. See the website right there. Lisa is located, in her group, located Callahan Drive in Knoxville, North Knoxville. The phone number, 865-938-2100, 865-938-2100. They've taken care of me for years and years and years. H&R Block does great stuff, but I can attest personally to Lisa Atkins and her team. Absolutely the best I've ever dealt with in East Tennessee. Lisa Atkins and H&R Block, 865-938-2100. All right, joined by Mark Pancratz. Mark, of course, was a Division I basketball player at what is now just Milwaukee. I guess at the time it was Milwaukee, it was Wisconsin-Milwaukee they called it. And I always want to say Milwaukee, Wisconsin, like the city. And of course, so you went through the NCAA tournament selection show there. You've been through it as an assistant at Tennessee as well. So I'm going to use your knowledge to take us inside a little bit. These are going to be remedial questions, but I just think there are a lot of people that would want to know the answers to these. So excuse me as I go through these things. You were on the staff here. This one's going to compare more to 2009, I think, because you guys played in the finals in Tampa against Mississippi State, lost in that final. I think that was the last, well, no, they also made the finals against Kentucky last year. But that was one where you're not sitting at home watching it with the coach's house or at the facility. You're not going to be in a locker room today. You're going to have time to get back to the hotel, is my guess. Walk me through after the game, win, lose, guys get dressed, everybody heads to a room to gather and watch this thing. I'm sure Sequoiac and group are going to have everybody put together.
Yeah, so you know, you're getting back to the hotel. If you're staying there in Nashville, you'll get back to the hotel.
Is that what you did in Tampa? Straight back to the hotel to watch?
We stayed and watched it at the hotel. Administrators, family members, coaches, staff, and everybody, players, family, are all there, and you're watching live. You know, it's different for each position on the staff, right? Coach Barnes is probably having all of his media responsibilities. He's hanging out with the family. He's probably on the pre-bracket shows. Meanwhile, you know, like myself, well, I was the director of scouting when I was at UT. So meanwhile, just like with what we did in your show, you know, we're going and trying to figure out, all right, who are the potential matchups? And what you're doing is you're going and you're starting to put together packets of information about each potential team, whether that's their roster, their stats, their schedule. Start formulating the video, and you're getting that ready. So that way, right when selection show announces who you're going to be playing as a video or a scouting department, you're ready to get each staff who gets assigned that scouting report, which I'm sure we'll talk about, that information.
Did you ever go through one of these things where you didn't know you were in, or when you were at Milwaukee? Because at UT, you always knew you were in. Did you always know you were in when you were at Milwaukee?
Yeah, the mid-major, the
you either knew not to look, you're not in, or you knew you're in.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, here's why I asked. If you know you're in, that would take some of the pressure off of it, but that's got to be kind of a Christmas morning thing, doesn't it? I mean, you're sitting there, you know there's going to be a present under the tree. Is it fun? Is it anxious? Is it different from player to coach? What is it? Fans are sitting there wondering, ooh, yeah. What are the players and coaches doing?
I think the players, different, right? When it's Barnes comes and the revitalizing the program to finally get there, it's different than what it's going to be like this year. This year, it's going to be more of the players are looking at who are the matchups, where is the matchup going to be like. They're looking at it more schematically than they are the excitement factor of just being in.
If you go back, you weren't here for this. You were still in Milwaukee playing. Bruce Pearl's first year here, 2005, 2006, people probably remember this. They got a shot of Tennessee watching to see where they're selected. They get the number 2 seed. Tennessee is so surprised by that. Bruce Pearl's sitting closest to the camera. He mouthed, you can make it out clear as day, holy shit. That is the very clear, and this is tape, so I can say that. Yeah. We're online only. But that was his response. So I guess at times, you know, if you're a coach, you can still get a little of that giddiness that would go into it. It's not just work, depending if you get a real surprise seed. I would guess that would work the other way. If Tennessee somehow gets a 3 seed today, they get that weird, oddball, awful deal, you could be ticked off as hell, I guess, too, and have to be showing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or the matchups that you thought you wouldn't have to face again. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different ways that they can play out. But the motion, it's one of those things that you want to, as a coach, you want to pause and help the players appreciate the moment because, being, 14, 15, 20 years away removed from playing college basketball, those are memories I'll cherish forever.
All right. You see your name on the board. For the sake of argument, let's say Tennessee gets pulled off in the first region. Okay, let's say they do the South today. Tennessee's 2 seed in the South. 15 minutes in that you're here and this is who you're playing. I'm guessing the players continue to watch the show. Does everybody continue to watch the show? Does part of the staff immediately, as soon as you see Colgate or Bradley or whoever, are you up and on the phone? What's the first? Do you watch the rest of that show and enjoy that, or are you at work as soon as your name is called? Yeah,
so when I was there, how it was done is I'd be watching the show. Let me back up. The game ends. We've got a team of student assistants, other staff members that are starting to get that information together. We're working on all the information of the possible opponents, preparing that. Then you take a break for about 20 minutes as soon as the show starts up until when your bracket is announced. Right when that name goes, you celebrate, you kiss your wife, and you're gone. And now you're going to get all the information of the potential opponents. Meanwhile, what typically happens, the assistant coaches that are involved in scouting are saying their kisses and their goodbyes to their family while Coach Barnes goes and talks to the media. Then the assistant coaches come and we huddle together and we're making decisions of who is going to be in charge of what scout based off of does that coaching staff, does the assistant coach have a relationship? Did he coach on that staff before? Does he know that scheme?
Been in that conference.
Been in that conference. Yeah. Has he had a scout similar? And so then you're kind of mapping out. Then you're getting those coaches that information, and you're starting to prepare.
Each coach gets his own team. So if you got 3 teams in that first opening pod, a different assistant gets a different pod, or a different scouting assistant.
Yeah, you've got somebody designated even to every team. Even if there's a very small chance that you could play them, you're still going to have somebody that starts scouting them, and your better scouting people are taking the ones that you're most likely going to play.
Okay, so as soon as this thing's over and you guys start running, is there any contact between you? I mean, are you guys having to call and say, all right, we'll send you these tapes, you send these here? Is it now set up online to where everybody's tapes are up there on some coaching message board where everybody shares this information? At any point, does Rick Barnes call the head coach at the other team and say, hey, we'll see you in Tampa or wherever? Does that kind of stuff go? What's the contact, and how is the video sharing worked out?
Yeah, so video sharing these days, it's all online, so that because now every game is broadcasted on the Big Ten network or whatever that is. Smaller schools, even so, you'll be able to get that, which wasn't the case 5-10 years ago. As far as coaches, what typically happens is, again, Coach Barnes is doing a lot of media stuff and that type of thing. Assistant coaches, they'll start watching some of the games of the matchup that they have, but more importantly, just as importantly, they are calling coaches of not just within the conference of, like, so say John's with Alabama, or I'm sorry, let's say John is with Wisconsin, where I'm going to play Wisconsin. I'm going to be calling other coaches in the Big Ten. I'm going to start calling the ones that play a lot like me. So I'm not going to call Syracuse, for instance, because I don't play much zone. I'm not going to call Boeheim and ask him, hey, how'd you beat them? I'm going to call coaches that run a system similar to me. Then I'm going to look at their schedule and say, okay, well, are there one team that maybe they shouldn't have, they weren't any good, say Northwestern.
How'd you pull the upset?
How'd you do it? What was your thing?
If you play Michigan State, a team that somehow lost twice to Indiana, you're calling the guy at Indiana.
Yes. Now, I will say there's an unwritten rule, and it's kind of gone away, that conference coaches aren't supposed to kind of share the tricks of other conference teams. So you're mostly looking at some non-conference opponents, but you're getting what they did. You're getting play calls. So hey, I noticed that in the 15-minute mark of the second half, they ran a play. They happen to have the play call, and they'll go back and try to find it. So yeah, you're doing a lot of that. The other thing to just elaborate it, because I love this stuff. This is what I loved about. This is what, when people ask me, do I miss coaching? I miss this time of year, the X's and O's of it. The other thing is Coach Barnes, once he starts watching, He'll probably watch a game or two of, say, the 15 seed, but he'll also start slowly watching some of that 7 and 8. Again, not to get to say, hey,
we're not ignoring the first round game, but you got to be prepared.
Yes,
yeah.
And the other thing to speed it up nowadays, the scouting department will do cut ups. So they'll go cut up a bunch of tape. They'll watch a lot of tape, cut up a lot of things to make it easier for the assistant coach to watch more actions quicker, to get caught up quicker.
All right, last one. I'll let you get out of here, and we'll both go watch the Tennessee-Auburn game. This is kind of a high society problem to have, I would think. If you are just looking to get in the bracket, you're just praying your name gets called, you're probably not worried as much about Thursday, Friday, morning session, night session, location, as you are a team that if you're Tennessee and you know you're a 1 or a 2 more than likely, how much is Rick Barnes and the staff going to be paying attention to Louisville versus Anaheim, Kansas City versus D.C.? How much are they going to look at those first-round games, Columbia versus Jacksonville? Are they going to be sitting there, like I said today, get the extra day's rest? Does it matter to them that it's Friday, Sunday versus Thursday, Saturday? Start time, would you rather play early, late? Do the coaches worry about location, time, date?
I think, yes, absolutely. I think start time, right? You rather keep it something similar to
normal,
what guys have been used to. As far as preparation, look, everybody's worn down at this time of year to a degree. But the difference is a Friday start versus a Thursday start. You know, you play today. Now, Monday, you're probably not doing much in preparation. You're not doing much of anything live. And then Tuesday, you might do a little bit of something. Wednesday, there's not much. Thursday, your game. Friday makes a huge difference because now you're getting your guys that are in the regular rotation can get some live action against whatever are the main sets or offensive actions or defensive schemes that the opponent that you're going to run into is going to do. The other thing it allows you to do is coaches, when you're playing a 15 seed or a 16 seed, what you'll do is you'll throw in a couple sets that the players don't know this is happening, but say they're going to play Colgate, right? And then the second round matchup is Louisville. You may throw in a couple Louisville sets. Again, not that the players know about, but a couple tough sets that Louisville runs and say, hey, Colgate runs these. Let's prepare for them. So that way as a coaching staff, one, you can get a live look on video to say, hey, this is the way we think we're going to guard it. Does it work out? Do we need to adjust it? And two, the players get some action of actually going against it live. So that extra day of rest, yes, it's some about legs, but a lot of it also has to do with about getting your team prepared. And it goes both ways, right? The other team can prepare more for you, but I like the extra day rest.
And I'm guessing if you had your druthers, it ain't going to happen, but if you had your druthers and you're coaching the SEC, you'd prefer the conference in this thing on Saturday rather than on Sunday.
Oh, well, ACC ended it on Saturday night. Championship was last night. To me, it's a big deal. But, you know, look, these coaches make millions and millions of dollars. A lot of it has to do with the TV contract, and they're going to be the main show today at 1 o'clock Eastern.
Great stuff, Mark. There are people that live their whole lives and never had any of that information, so thank you for sharing that. That's great. Appreciate him every week for being here. Thanks to Lisa Adkins and her team at H&R Block for bringing you this special overtime segment, Inside Selection Sunday. By the time you watch this, you'll know if Tennessee won or lost, is my guess, and you'll be preparing for the NCAA tournament show. You can follow all of us on Twitter because we're all tweeting about it constantly. See you next Sunday at 11 on WATE 6.